Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So I was in Marblehead, Massachusetts a couple of weekends ago, and that Marblehead is just a beautiful, beautiful town on the coast, and they have the most gorgeous beaches, and they have the best little shops. So I went into one of the little shops there in town, and I saw, of course, those beautiful Miguel Aces earrings, and those of you who love brick stitch probably are so familiar with his designs. He's just an amazing designer, and his artisans are so talented and they're so amazing at what they do. So I was immediately inspired to come on home and do some brick stitch. So we've been doing brick stitch anyway, and I thought this would be kind of a fun, sort of next step in our brick stitch. So we'll be stitching around a pearl, two different pearls, and we'll still use the quick links though, so it's, makes it a little bit easier. So I just wanted to give you a quick look at the earring. This is a post earring. So you see we have a post back, and which is great because they're so comfortable, and I love a post, and I don't think I've ever made a post earring before, but I found these little cup posts that fit right over the pearl, and it works great. So I'll just give you because I can't turn my camera around, it's fixed. I took a picture of myself so you can see what the earring looks like on. So there I am. And I'll just zoom in a little bit. So that's what it looks like on the ear. It's not huge. You can make it huge. Like I did another one, or I started this piece, and I just made it even bigger. I added another round of beads on it. Look how huge that is. So if you're a huge earring girl, you can certainly do that as well. But this is how it looks. It's very light. It doesn't pull down on the ear. If you notice, my lobe is not pulling down, and believe me, any kind of earring that has any kind of weight to it pulls it right down. But the fact that it has these great posts on them, and it's weighted so nicely that it doesn't, it's not heavy at all. All right, so I'm going to put me aside. And I'm going to clear the decks and get a materials list going, and we'll get started. Okay, let's get a materials list going. So you'll need two different size pearls, and I have a 6mm, and here's an 8mm. Now this is actually an onyx bead. I want to try it with a stone, but remember, if you use a stone, it's going to be heavier, so you want to just make sure that it's not going to be too heavy for your ear. With the pearls, they're so light, the Swarovski pearls, that it doesn't really make a difference. So here are two 8mm round beads, two 6mm round beads. I've got a 3mm pearl here, 11/0 seed bead, 11/0 Delica. I have an 8/0 seed bead. Here, I'll put that guy there. An 8/0 seed bead. I have a little curveball I'm throwing you here. This is a twisted hex bead. It is not a Delica. I'm going to pull in really tight. It's called a Twisted Hex, and it's by Miyuki. It's a 10/0 Twisted Hex. All right, so these are very common. You can find them on most bead websites. I will put a link to where I got them in the description box below the video. That's the bead that goes in between all the pearls here and here. Now, I think you could probably use maybe a 10/0 Delica, or you can use let's say maybe even a small bugle bead, like the smallest bugle bead could fit. Or, you can try something else in between, but I like the straight bead next to the little pearl. So I'll let you choose whatever you want to do. Just see if it, try anything and see if it fits. You need a couple of these post backs. They're cups, and they do not have the peg in them. So you don't want the ones with the peg. You want just the plain cup, and they're 6mm. You need two quick links, and these are 20mm. And you need two of these backs. So I'm using these big post backs. They fit best with this just because of the nature of the small area in the back here. This back fits better than the, what have you called those little what are they called, nuts? I'm not sure. See how it covers up the whole back so it stays on your ear nicely. Okay, so I need a couple of those. You need size 10 beading needle, some 8-pound Fireline. I'm using black satin. This does show a little thread. I mean, it just shows around the edges. That's just the nature of this stitch. So if you don't like that, then, use a color thread that's not going to show. But, I mean, it is going to show. It recedes into the background. You don't see it when it's on your ear. So that doesn't bother me. But, like I said, you can choose whatever color thread. Maybe you want to use white thread with this. But, I mean, I just think it would show more if it was white. I think using smoke Fireline for just about everything just makes, you know, it makes it recede into the background, and that's fine with me. All right, so don't forget to look for the 10% off coupon code for this big bead mat, the gray one. This is the No More Oops bead tray. There's a link down below in the description box below the video for that as well. All materials, sizes, colors, places where I purchase my beads, etc. will be down in the description box below the video, so don't forget to click the down arrow or the show more. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video, and I will clear it all off and we'll get started. Okay, let's get started. So I switched all my dark beads out to all light beads so you can see what I'm doing. And I just love the way it looks in the white beads. Even though the thread shows, it recedes when you wear it. You don't even see it. All right, so this will be very easy for you to follow. So excuse my Band-Aid. Haley clipped me and she messed up my nail polish. So she's been very naughty the past couple of videos. But she's being very sweet right now. She's on the floor and she's sleeping. All right, so thread your needle with about 40 inches of thread. We're going to work on the bottom piece right now. Just sew through your pearl. You want to make sure you have a little tail to hold on to, like that, and just sew through the other side. Our goal here is to put a thread, 2 threads actually, on each side so we can bead on them. So here I have 1 thread on, just going to sew through again. So I have 2. Then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So up through the pearl. And again. You want to make sure that's right in the middle. It's going to move around a little bit, but as we, get more beads on, it will be fine. So I'm just going to pick up 2 of my 11-0s, and you want to choose beads that are pretty much the same size. Even with Miyuki, sometimes your beads, some of them are, you get a really big wonky looking one. Just try to, keep them as even as possible. So I'm just going to sew through under the 2 threads from back to front. And then up through the second bead. And don't worry about that first bead. We're going to connect that one later. Pick up an 11-0. Back to front, under that thread, through the bead. One more time. Back to front, and up. Just going to do that all the way around. Just want to make sure, because the threads do slide around a bit, that your threads are, staying right in the center. All right, so come on down to where the tail thread is coming out, and I'll just show you how to get around the hole of the pearl there. Okay, coming down to the bottom here where the hole is, just going to put 1 more bead on, like that. It's just going to sort of cover the hole. So really that's all there is to it. And then I'm just going to keep going. And see how the threads move a little bit? Just push it back. This is all just a little practice, if you're new at this. All right, so then keep going around until you get a couple of beads before the end, and we'll close it off together. Okay, coming down to the end. I think I have a couple of beads to put on. Maybe 1. Let's see. Sometimes, it's hard to know whether you need 1 or 2. So I'm going to put this 1 on. So through. Okay, so I can't fit another bead in there. It would just make everybody bunch up. So I'm coming out of this bead. I'm just going to sew through the next one to connect them, and then up through this one. And you'll see when I tighten it, it will pull them. See how that pulls them together? And then I'm just going to sew through this one, the next bead here, and right through the pearl if you can, and through an 11-0 on the other side. But if you can't get through an 11-0, just sew right through the pearl. I mean, for some reason, I know that people, don't normally do that, but to me it just kind of straightens everybody out and it tightens everything up again. So here I'm coming out of the hole in the pearl, and I'm just going to come up whatever 11-0 is closest to me right there. So I've just come from one side to the other, and this is what it looks like. So it should be right in the center, kind of like, was that Saturn? All right, so this is what we look like so far. Now we're going to pick up some Delicas, so pick up 2 Delica beads. Just going to sew through you're exiting this bead here, sew through that next thread bridge right there. And up, just like that. Pick up a Delica, sew through the next thread bridge, and up. You can do that all the way around, just being very mindful of which thread bridge you sew through. Sometimes you have to sew through the same thread bridge that you did with the previous bead, and sometimes you'll do the next one. It just depends on how close the next thread bridge is. So you're just going to have to make that determination. So we did this with the other brick stitch videos, which I will definitely link up there. I'll put a card there and I'll link it in the description box below the video, so if you want to go back and look at those videos, you can. Alright, so just go all the way around, just adding Delicas, and then come on back a couple of beads before the end and we'll continue. Okay, coming down to the end. So I think I'm only going to fit this one bead in here. I'm just going to connect by going through this one. Sometimes I go through 2. This one and the one underneath it, and then back up through these 2. I don't know, sometimes I think it just secures it really nicely when you do that, but if you can just go down the previous bead and, like we did before. But sometimes going through both of them, I think it made it nice and straight. So I'll leave that up to you. So that's looking pretty good. Alright, so now we're going to do our 8-ohs. We're going to put on our 8-ohs. So pick up 2 8-ohs. We'll get to the ring, not yet though. You're exiting this bead, skip the first thread bridge and go through the second one. Like that. Because you have to fit these 2 beads in there. They're pretty big. And then back up. Like that. And don't worry about it if it moves around. It's just going to for a while. Okay, pick up an 8-oh, sew through the next thread bridge. You got it. That's what you're going to do all the way around. You're just going to choose mindfully where you put your beads. It's hard for me to tell you which thread bridge to go through. You're just going to have to put them on and, and just sort of see how they go. I will say that with the 8-ohs, you want to leave like just a smidgen hairline of space between them so everybody fits nicely. Okay? Alright, so get that done and then maybe back here at the end and we'll continue. Okay, coming down to the end, so we have room for one more bead. Put that one on. Like that. Now I'm just going to sew through. You can sew through this one or this one and the Delica beneath it. Like I said, I kind of like sewing them, doing it this way. At least for this project, it seems to hold them together. So I've just sewn, I just went down the Delica and then up this Delica and out this bead. Normally we'd go down this one and then just up this one. But I don't know, it just seems to tighten things up and everything sits so nicely. So that's not bad. That's looking pretty good. You want to just make sure all your beads are sort of, in a row. They all seem to work out pretty well. Okay, so now we're going to take our quick link and we're just going to put that around the beads, and that's a really nice fit, fits perfectly. And we're going to pick up a pearl and I'm going to grab the hex beads. So pick up a pearl and a hex, and you're just going to, so here if I move the ring, I'm just going to go through I'm coming out of a pearl there, just going to go through the next thread bridge and the ring, and then up the hex, the twisted hex bead, and that's going to set them on top of the quick link. This pearl is not connected, we will connect that one at the end. Pick up a pearl, come through back to front, under the thread bridge, under the ring, up the pearl. Pick up a hex, through the thread bridge. Now it doesn't really matter which thread bridge you go through as long as that your beads are just going on even, because the link is covering everything. And watch your hex beads, like some of them are really uneven, and like see how short this one is compared to that one? So you might want to cull those as well. So here I'm coming through a thread bridge and up. So you want to space these, and it's just a matter of just practice so that you will have, when you come back to the end here, you're going to have a hex bead right here, and it should fit pretty nicely. I'm leaving a teeny bit of space in between them. This is just practice. Just, you know, just make sure they're sort of next to each other like that. You don't want to jam them next to each other, and you should, fit them in. I mean, I figured it so they would fit. So, so get that done. Meet me back here a couple of beads before the end, and we'll close it off. Okay, a couple of beads before the end. So I've got a pearl. And a hex. Like that. And then we're going to attach these two together. So through the pearl. Actually, I'm going to just attach this pearl on. So through the pearl, come under the link, and back up through the pearl. So that was that original pearl that we put on that wasn't attached. And when I pull this, see what happens? It didn't look like it was going to fit, but it did. It looked like there was going to be too much space, but it turned out that, it's just fine. So that looks pretty good. And you could even, if you want to, you could just like move them with your thumb a little bit and then give a pull. And it's amazing, when you do this at the very end, all of a sudden the earring, the unit is completely stiff and it's not moving anymore. So it comes out just great. Those quick links are like the best thing ever for those of us who are a little brick stitch, challenged. All right, so there we go. Yeah, play with it a little bit. Don't pull too tight. If you pull too tight, it's going to cup up too much. So there you go. We've got our first unit done, the larger unit. There it is. So, play with that, get that done. If you have to, take a little bit out, put it back again, play with it until it's, until you're happy with it, and then come on back and we'll do this very easy top to the earring, and we'll have an earring. Okay, we're back, so let's start the top piece. So it's the next morning, and I think my Haley injury has healed enough that I could take my Band-Aid off. So I'm going to thread my needle with about 2 feet of thread, and I'm going to pick up my pearl. So we're doing this top part now. The 6mm pearl. I'm just going to sew through and do the same thing I did with the 8mm. So we're just going to go through. I'm going to do this a little quicker now. You've already done it. Once, twice, do that again, so I have my threads on like that. Then we're just going to take our 11/0 and we're just going to do a round of brick stitch, pulling just to get you started, just like we did on the 8mm. So back to front, onto the thread, sew up through the first bead, like that. Do that again. Back to front, sew up, just like that. So you're going to do that all the way around, and being that you've done it already, I won't stop until we get to the end, and we'll connect it together. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, I'm down to the end, so I'm just going to connect now. So here, exiting here, just going to sew through this one. That's the next bead. That's that first bead we put on. Back up through this one. Give it a pull, and I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. I'm just going to go advance through the next bead again, and I'm going to sew right through my pearl. You know, and that's an optional step. And then I'm just going to turn it around and just sew through the closest seed bead. Like, I don't know if this works with every, you know, brick stitch project, but it works with this. Alright, so then we're going to take our hex cuts and the pearl. So we're going to pick up a pearl and a hex. Just sew through the neck under the first thread bridge after the bead you're exiting from. Pop it over, just sew through the hex to get those 2 beads on. How easy is this? Pearl through the next thread bridge and up. Hex through the next thread bridge and up. So keep doing that. Your goal here is to get, let me just count how many beads I have on there. 4. You have 7 hex beads and 7 pearls. So make sure you space it out so that you come out at the end with, you know, with this sequence. So I'll have a hex will be here and a pearl will be here, and so you'll have 7 of each. All right, so do that and come on back and we'll continue. Okay, coming down to the end. So I have a pearl. Like that. And then we have 1 hex, and this is such a perfect fit. I love when that happens. On with the hex, up, and then we're going to sew through the pearl. Back up the hex, give it a little pull. I like to sort of curve mine in a little bit when you pull on it like this, and it curves just like a smidge. I like the way that the earring looks that way. You don't have to do that. All of mine curve a teeny bit. The bottom doesn't curve as much, but I think that looks really pretty. All right, so there you are done with your 2 pieces. So finish up and then come on back and we will put them together and glue the little post on, and you have a pair of earrings. All right, okay, so let's attach the 2 pieces. Now the next clip is going to be putting the post on. So I've already put the post on this one, so I'm just going to be using this one to connect the 2 pieces, but we will put the post on in the next clip. I had done it already, and then I didn't like how it came out, so I went to change it. So I tried to actually get this post off, and I used my needle, my pliers, everything. It's not coming off. So if you use the glue, the Loctite super glue gel, it's perfect for this. So anyway, that's why the post is on this. So we're going to put this together. So I've situated it just like this. So I'm going to have a pearl, this pearl on the small piece, let me just make sure, yes, is going to be situated over the hex cut bead on the larger piece. I'll pull in a little bit more. So I'm exiting a pearl here, just going to sew through this hex on the piece, on the small piece, like that. Let me just make sure I'm doing this right, yes. Then I'm going to sew through the pearl on the small piece and down through the hex bead on the larger piece, like this. Like I said, you can put this on any way you like. Back up the pearl here. Through the hex on the small piece. Now you're on, whoops, now you're on. So what you have to do is reinforce. So down through the pearl and the hex. Up this guy. And all these threads are hidden because it's under the beads. And through this guy. And you might want to do it one more time. So you go through this one, and back up this one. That way you have 2 threads through every bead, and then just sew your threads in, just like that, and your earring's done. So then come on back and we'll put the little post on and you'll be done. Okay, we're back, so here's my little post, just going to well, I can't do it because I already did it, but I'm just going to show you on this end. So I'm just going to take a little glue, and I'm actually going to fill the cup about a third of the way, and just you know, make sure it's around the edges a bit. And all you're going to do is just place it on just like that. It will just stick. Of course, you're going to put it on the small part, but it will just like that. So right there, and it'll be, like I said, you can't get it off for anything. So, all right, so let's take a quick look at everybody. So here are our beauties. Okay, so much fun. I absolutely love them. They look so pretty on, very vintagey looking. Love it, very lacy. Just a couple things, what's coming up. So we did the sunflowers earrings, and I got a request to do some embellishment. So we're going to make this into this. Pull on a little bit. Here, this is an embellishment we did, so we'll do this. We'll embellish another pair with this embellishment. I got a lot of requests for that as well. And then, for those of you who want an ear hook and don't want the post, we're going to take this earring that we did already, and we'll make this out of it. This is very similar to the one we made, only it's more flat, and it's got an ear wire on it. So, and we use 2 of the quick links. So there you go. There are your earrings, and I hope you enjoy this video. I hope you have fun making this. I hope you make all kinds of fun designs of your own with this brick stitch. Use the quick links. They make it so easy. Well, for me anyway. All right. So thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.